Alright, this is part two. So I was just explaining how I was connecting the shadow work to the identity, to the pattern that I had recognized through these readings and through different things I watched today. Mind you, I'm someone who has CPTSD, diagnosed CPTSD. Not formally or officially quite BPD, but I know that is what I have as well. I thought I was autistic. I thought I was bipolar for a bit because my family kept telling me that I was bipolar. I had a parental figure try to say that I was schizophrenic so many different times. They apologized after I pointed out the things that I learned and how them saying that was affecting me very negatively. And they're like, oh, I don't know why I would say that. I apologize. I do kind of see it as a little bit of a coincidence that both of my parents have memory issues after the type of childhood that I've had, but I digress with that. So for me, I would share my personal shadow work that I just went through. So knowing this, knowing that I have CPTSD and undiagnosed quiet BPD, that means that trusting people and forming intimate connections with people is very difficult and has been historically very difficult. I would make bonds with people, I would form attachments around things we had in common, places that we would frequent, like school or a performing arts center or a store that I worked at or whatever, right? A place that I went shopping at. But all of those things would just be like very fleeting, very quick connections, nothing lasting. And then the relationships that did last or that, were kind of more permanent in my life, like family, step family, bosses, coworkers, for places that I've worked at for more than a year, I'm saying. School, like those more long term, like see them every day or see them quite frequently throughout the week, I would build resentments with them and I would get very anxious around some of them that tried to instill fear, and then others it would be like I would almost be like hot and cold with them and be very judgmental. And I learned this about myself when I had my first serious relationship where I moved in and lived with my significant other and worked with them as well. So that was a very big lesson, spiritual awakening, karmic unfolding, however you want to word it. But that was when I really got to look at myself, and then I connected how I was acting physically and the repercussions of that to the spiritual actions and the things that I was doing. I used to practice baneful magic. If you had not seen that video I posted earlier in May, but I used to do burn and release ceremonies when I felt very angry or very unjust. Instead of asking for guidance or meditating, I would do burn and release ceremonies and call on darker energies because I did not know. And as someone who was born and brought up in Christian churches and moved around their whole life, that's type of things that I was doing was taboo, but I was very much disconnected from family at that point. And really the whole world. I was really disconnected. I was taking all of my anger and frustrations from what happened at my job and just going in nature and doing that. So I definitely got the repercussions from doing that. I will never do baneful magic or work or anything like that again. I am here solely to help. Let me just say that. Most importantly, I hope people know I'm here to help. I'm not here to misguide people. This is why I'm being vulnerable right now and sharing this message that I just walked through and felt and cried and released and everything. So anyway, I'm saying all this to say I had created different personas with these relationships that I had formed these bonds that were very quick attachments or very kind of like give and take relationships. It was never authentic, unconditional love. And I had only started to realize this about myself after that relationship and after getting certain messages online. It wasn't clicking enough until I had started to do certain work and certain actions myself. Because it was like someone can. It was that what's that quote? You could lead a horse to water, but you can't force them to drink. That was me. I was being led to the water. I was being warned. I was being told these things, and then I started using certain drugs like mushrooms, smoking, different strains of things, taking certain edibles that were really, really, really like potent. Especially for me, I'm like a petite sized person, even though I don't like show my body or whatever. Like I'm 5'4". I'm not very tall. Yes, I just overcompensate with confidence. But anyway, back to what I was talking about. So I had formed these relationships and these personas, and that led me to these experiences that mirrored that internally. So a lot of times people would compliment me or like the hard work that I was doing, but they wouldn't want to invest into me. They wouldn't want to really form like community. They wouldn't want to do things out of love. It was, well, you have to act this way to be accepted. You have to do this if you want to stay here. You want to, or not you want to, you have to believe what I believe, or else it's going to be an argument. That's what I mean. That's what I'm saying. Stuff like that. So I was attracting a lot of just inauthentic people, attracting a lot of angry people, a lot of people who would hold resentments and would keep it in, or they would act kind of hot and cold. And I'm like, well, it was like a lot of stuff about psychology. I was learning a lot of stuff about, a lot of stuff about empathy, a lot of stuff about emotional intelligence. It's like, oh yeah, I know this stuff. And then I was also starting to use those things against people as like a measuring thing. Like, oh, you don't reach this level. I don't like you. I don't want you around me. But it's like, hey, buddy, this is literally who you are and how you're acting. It's just showing up a little bit differently, but this is still you. So you're gonna keep getting these lessons. And I at one point was having a really hard time with relationships and picking the right partners because of that relationship with my father figure, and just how much I was not accepted, even in terms of like my background with my ethnicity. He had made hurtful comments about who I was or who my mother's side of the family was. Oh, you're not that. I just talked to your mother. Da, 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 da. And it's like, it's so strange growing up and having to learn about yourself instead of having your family teach you and explain to you these things. And that has been the hardest part of my struggle, is not holding on to resentment and their thinking and not becoming like them. Having grace is easy in the moment or for a day, but trying it the rest of your life and not making these masks and different personas and not mirroring other people, that's the work. That's life work. That's where you have to start reparenting yourself. You only attract what's in here.